Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. General Hospital Wednesday, February 19 recap. Cyrus confesses to Liz before jabbing Lucky. Drew asks Willow to move in. General Hospital, GH, recap for Wednesday, February 19, reveals that Cyrus Reynolds, Jeff Kober, confessed to Elizabeth Baldwin, Rebecca Herbst, before jabbing Lucky Spencer, temporarily played by Guy Wilson. Drew Quartermain, Cameron Matheson, also asked Willow Corinthos, Caitlin McMullen, to move in, so here's how Wednesday's episode played out. At Bobby's, Emma Drake, Braiding Brunner, tried to recruit Jocelyn Jacks, Eden McCoy, to make a speech at her fundraising event. But Joss had a lot going on and donated money instead. Although Emma was a little miffed, Giovanni Mazza, helped her see that it was best not to push as they continued to bond. Jocelyn was covering for someone, but she eventually got another employee to take over and took off. It wasn't long until Jocelyn broke in Cyrus' hideout so she could dig for evidence. At Carly Spencer's, Laura Wright place, she kissed Jack Brennan, Chris McKenna, before Donna Corinthos, Scarlett Fernandez, called out and interrupted. Donna had a bad dream, so she asked Brennan questions since he'd studied psychology. Once Donna went back to bed, Brennan had to take off on Carly after getting some work-related news on his phone. Meanwhile, Drew brought Willow to the Savoy on a Valentine's Day date. Willow ranted to Drew about Brad Cooper's, Perry Shen, past mistakes when she saw him sitting at the bar with Lucas Jones, Van Hanses. Brad grumbled about Willow as well as he continued his evening with Lucas. Although Lucas ultimately decided to head home, Brad seemed pleased over the time they spent together. Next, Curtis Ashford, Donald Turner, made it clear to Drew that he was no longer welcome at the Savoy. Willow could stay if she wanted, but the nightclub was off-limits to Drew. Since Drew had another surprise for Willow anyway, they both took off together. Drew eventually showed off his new house to Willow and delivered a shock when he asked her to move in along with the kids. Back at Bobby's, Harrison Chase, Josh Swickard, came clean to Dante Falconeri, Dominic Zamprogna, about not being able to give Brooklyn Quartermain, Amanda Seton, a child and got Dante support. Dante made a prediction about there being other ways to have a family, but he understood that Chase and Brooklyn had a lot to wrap their heads around right now. At Deception, Brooklyn was summoned to handle an important phone call after Lulu got the guy on the other end all riled up. Once Brooklyn put out the work fire, she fumed over Lulu disturbing her Valentine's Day with Chase. Lulu acted like Brooklyn's life was perfect, and if she didn't have what she wanted, that was her own fault. Dante caught the tail end of the conversation and urged Lulu to back off once Brooklyn was gone. When Lulu continued to gripe about Brooklyn and the perfect life she had, Dante finally blurted out that Chase and Brooklyn just found out they couldn't have children. At Elizabeth's place, Cyrus barged in and invited her to ask him questions directly since he knew she'd been curious about things. Since Liz couldn't convince Cyrus to leave, she asked why he tried to kill Lulu. Cyrus admitted to targeting Lulu before the ventilator incident since his medication was the reason for Lulu's liver problems. However, Cyrus' goal was to end Lulu's suffering and take her out of that unnatural state of living. Since Sam McCall, Kelly Monaco, donated her liver to keep Lulu alive, her demise was a consequence of getting in the way of the mission. That was when Cyrus saw the path of using digitalists to accomplish his goals. Although Dex Heller, Evan Hofer, tried to end Cyrus' life, Cyrus insisted he had no malice toward him. The real reason Cyrus went after Dex was because he was a witness and could have jeopardized the good work Cyrus believed he was going. It was all about the mission and doing what Cyrus believed was God's will. Liz brought up Cyrus' mother as well, so he acknowledged that he was upset about his mom being kept alive as a shell of her former self. Michael Corinthos, Chad Duell, was someone else who Cyrus tried to set free. Cyrus saw himself as someone who could help suffering victims cross over to the other side where they could experience a much better outcome. Liz pretended to understand, so Cyrus pulled out a syringe and hoped she'd understand why he had to do this too. Cyrus reiterated that he couldn't let anything get in the way of the mission and cornered Liz with the syringe. That's when Lucky burst in and yelled for Cyrus to get away from Elizabeth. Lucky got into a struggle with Cyrus and decked him while Liz called 911.